Bulla Bulla, it's Jimmy, and this is your complete guide to playing Natadola Bay Championship Golf Course in Fiji. In this video, we're going to cover 4 main areas: getting to Natadola Bay, what to bring to the course, what to expect once you get there, and a hole-by-hole preview of the course with some footage of my round. As you can see, I've timestamped the start of each of these topics for you to skip to, if you'd like. Firstly, if this is your first time on the channel, thank you for being here. I'm Jimmy, and I upload 20-something handicap golf videos from country Australia and wherever else my wife and I travel. Speaking of travel, comment below the most exotic location you've played golf, because I would love to check it out. Now, I'm going to assume you already know how to get to Fiji from wherever you're watching in the world, so we'll skip that part. Natadola Bay Championship Golf Course is about an hour's drive from Nadi and the Denarau Island resorts, and it's roughly 40 minutes from Sigatoka down the Coral Coast where some of the larger resorts are. There are a couple of options when it comes to getting to the course, and they're very easy to organise. First one is nice and simple, and if you're staying at a resort, you'll probably be walking past the desk multiple times a day. And that's Rosie's Holiday. Chances are, your transfer from the airport to your hotel was through Rosie Holidays. They have cars, buses and minivans driving all over the country ready to take you wherever you need to go. The fact that there is a desk at most resorts is what makes this super easy. Secondly, you can contact the golf club directly, which is what I did. They can offer you a couple of options depending on how many people are playing and if you brought your own clubs. My wife and I went with the cheap option, which was just a taxi at an agreed price by the golf club. It was a small Prius, so if I had my own golf clubs, they wouldn't have fit, but the golf club can also send a minivan or a private SUV, depending on your budget. What to bring is pretty important depending on the time of year you are traveling and if you brought your own clubs or not. If you haven't, we'll go over to hire clubs shortly. Firstly, let's cover the basics that you should have in Fiji, regardless of if you're going to go and play golf or not. Lots of sunscreen, lots of water, some fresh fruit or snacks. Snacks are important depending on the time of year you're playing, because when my wife and I travelled in February 2024, it was low season, and the restaurant and bar was closed. It's definitely worth asking if it's open when you book, so you can plan accordingly. Now, if your luggage allows it, I would strongly recommend bringing some golf balls. How many depends on your skill level, but once you're off the fairway, it's good luck finding your ball. I packed 6 and I went home with 8, but that doesn't mean I found any balls along the way. Around the golf course, the locals set up a little stall selling some golf balls that they've found. When I was there, they set up in the 5th tee box. If you haven't lost any balls at that stage, I still suggest buying some, as the jungle section of the course is quite brutal. The golf ball sold for about $1 Fijian, so I gave them a $5, picked up a couple of Pro V1s, a Chrome Soft, a TP5, and a bright yellow Optima because my wife thought it was cool. So if you haven't already guessed, the next thing you'll need to bring is some cash. I would much rather buy some close to brand new golf balls from the locals than buy a fresh box from the pro shop. In saying that though, I did buy a sleeve of brand new balls with the Natadola Bay Golf logo on them, because I'm a sucker for that. And I keep telling myself I'll display them one day, but I have a heap of them just scattered on my desk in front of me. I would bring 2 gloves because it is a bit humid out there and you might sweat through your first glove before you finish 9. You'll need your rangefinder or a Garmin watch, as it's difficult to see the distance markers when you're on the course. I packed some tees and a picture repair tool, but I didn't need the tees as the golf club supplied us with half a dozen wooden tees in the hire cart. If you do knock the heads off the tees a lot, you may as well bring your own, as they don't weigh much. The last thing to bring is your partner. Even if they're not into golf, they will enjoy to ride along on the cart and get heaps of photos of the views. My wife doesn't like golf at all, like really doesn't like golf. But she had the best time driving around, reading a book and taking plenty of photos for the gram. The golf course is an experience, and it's an experience that's best enjoyed together. When you get to the golf course, head to the pro shop, which is on the left-hand side of the walkway. Check in, grab yourself some of the merchandise, a couple of Fiji golds, and set yourself up for a good round. They'll guide you out to go pick up your hire clubs and your cart. And the hire clubs are quality. They're a full set of Callaway Rogues and they're very forgiving for any skill level. Everything is standard shaft and standard loft, so if you're like me and you're 6'8", you just need to make it work. Or see if it's cheaper to bring your own clubs. All of the round pricing and hire club cost is on the Natadola Bay website, so head there and get the most up-to-date rates. If you're wanting to warm up before your round, there are 3 practice areas. Once you're in your cart, head out to the left towards a roundabout. You'll then see that there's a short game practice area. And if you continue along that path, you'll get to the driving range. I didn't use either because I'm the turn up and just send it kind of guy, and I wonder why I'd never get better at golf. But I did use the practice green though. You drive past that on your way to the first tee. Okay, so this is the part of the video where we're going to do a hole-by-hole preview of a course, so you can get excited. If you prefer the mystery of finding what the course is like once you get there, Vinaka. Thank you for watching. I hope I answered all your questions. If I did, give this video a like. If not, drop a comment below and I'll answer down there. Otherwise, let's get stuck into it. Hole 1 is the perfect start to what will be a very memorable round. Hitting downhill towards the ocean the whole way, you want to make sure you hit something close to the fairway. The hole is kind enough to kick everything to the centre, just need to make sure you avoid the bunkers as they're in range. Your second shot should focus on hitting the green. It's quite large and flat, and once you're up there, it's a great opportunity to start your round off with a par. Hole 2 is heading back uphill. There are 3 fairway bunkers, 1 short right, and 2 a bit further down on the left-hand side. If you happen to fade or hit the occasional, sometimes frequent slice like me, don't worry, the 3rd fairway will catch your ball if it gets too out of hand. Snap hookers, be careful though, as left is an instant lost ball. If you manage to catch the fairway like I did, please club up. There is a massive false front on this green, and there is plenty of real estate up there to get you dancing. Hole 3 runs parallel to hole 2, and you can play that big fade of yours knowing there's plenty of room left to catch your ball. Being a slightly shorter hole though, if you hit a nice straight one, you will be rewarded with a wedge in. The hole runs downhill and the ball will roll out a little bit. Again, there is another false front here and a rollout area on the right hand side of the green. Anywhere over the front bunker or left hand side is a good approach shot. Sorry I couldn't show you much of this hole, I'm pretty average at golf. Hole 4 is one of those holes that you dream about. My wife and I spent so long on this hole taking in the views, getting lots of photos. But don't let its beauty fool you. She is a beast of a hole. It can play at well over 200 meters, have a strong breeze coming off the ocean, and it can swallow your ball up if you miss too far right. I clearly didn't have a problem with that because I let it get to me. After that miserable effort and an internal battle with myself thinking I should replay it, it's YouTube, I can edit it out. I stood firm on my promise for not faking anything on my channel and hit a peach of an 8-iron onto the green. The green is quite large, so it'll catch a few balls. Once you're dancing, you just want to make sure you don't get mesmerized by the beauty of this hole and hold your nerve to finish off strong. Take one last look at the ocean before you leave, because we're headed to the jungle. Hole 5 shouldn't be a problem for most, but for me it took longer than I would have liked to get used to the shorter clubs. As long as you can keep your drive in the fairway, you'll be set up for a decent second shot. There are a couple of fairway bunkers along the way, and the green is fairly protected. But when you get your ball up there, you'll see there is plenty of space, so swing freely and come away with a good score. Remember to visit a local stall and splash out some cash for some extra balls. You're going to need them. Hole 6 starts with a truly breathtaking view. Take a moment atop of the elevated tee box to get your phone out and snap some photos. The tee shot does look pretty intimidating, but hold your nerve. Send one down there and you'll enjoy the slow drive down the hill onto the fairway. The fairway is tight and it doglegs around to the right before it heads back around to the left. Before you turn towards the green, take a look back at the tee box. The hole looks good at all angles. There are a couple of bunkers to avoid, but once again, you have a big green to target. Hole 7 is no joke. It looks like a straightforward par 3, but you tee off from an elevated tee box towards a large green protected by deep bunkers. You don't want to go long, you don't want to go short, you don't want to go left. You just want to hit the green. Even then, that is half the battle. This is a very slippery green and a 2-putt would be a massive win. Hole 8 is gorgeous. After climbing up that path, you're greeted with an elevated tee box hitting down into a tight valley. There are a couple of strategically placed bunkers to catch your ball, but if you can avoid them, your job is only half done. Now you're hitting back uphill to an elevated green with yet another large false front. The green is relatively flat once you get up there, but the trick is keeping your ball up there. Again, look over your back shoulder to see where you came from. You won't regret it. Hole 9 is the hardest hole on the course. Bunkers everywhere and a very late dogleg around to the right. I was fortunate enough that I kept this ball low and under the wind. I would love to say I'm skilled enough that I did that on purpose, but yeah, I'm not. The second shot is tough. Over a creek that runs along the right hand side of a green with dangerous bunkers to the left. There is a bailout short if you need. Otherwise, you can take the images of my ball fading onto the green with you and try and recreate that shot so you can land safely on the green yourself. Hopefully you can 2-putt like me and also walk away with a surprising par. It's a great finishing hole for the front 9. After a quick visit to the pro shop to stock up on supplies, you'll be welcomed with a fairly straightforward 10th hole. There is plenty of room for your ball to land, so swing freely. Just be mindful that if you end up on the right hand side on the neighbouring 18th, the approach shot into the green is less than ideal, as there is a bunker on the right hand side that does not muck around. The green allows for a good 2-putt and shouldn't cause many golfers too many problems. I just love a triple bogey. I collect them for fun. Speaking of triples, hole 11 might just put one on your scorecard. This long, narrow hole has bunkers on the outskirts of the fairway, ready to catch any balls that get caught up in the howling cross breeze. Even if you can avoid them, you're still at least 2 shots from home. But don't worry about that. We're not here for our score. Just check out those views on the right hand side. Just incredible. Once you finally get it onto the green, be careful with your putter, as this green is quite tricky. Hole 12 was surprisingly one of my favourites to look at. Everything is picture framed nicely with a large hill and water catchment on the right, followed by a view of the ocean over the back of the green. Be careful with your club selection here. Everything in the fairway kicks to the right hand side, so you want to make sure you hit something that lands soft to keep the ball in play. As you can see, I didn't overly care about keeping my ball in play. I tried to send driver as far as I could. Overall, I didn't do this hole any justice, but it's still one of my favourites from the round. Hole 13 is another beautiful yet challenging hole. Anything left is in a large, picturesque bunker. Everything right is lost. Hitting the green is tricky, and even when you're close enough to attack the green, you'll find the undulations annoying and hard to read. By all reports, this hole has put quite a few blemishes on some of the tidiest scorecards. Hole 14 is a quirky dogleg left par 4. You can test your skill and try and attack the water hazard, or you can do what I did and hit the ball out to the right hand side, leaving you a long way into the green. Don't copy me, especially after that shot. But as you see, the green is tucked away nicely over the back here, and it's large and safe from any danger. Once you finish up on this hole, get ready for a great reveal on the drive to hole 15. Hole 15 is another one of those wow holes. Great views of the ocean left and the rest of the course in the distance. As you can probably tell, it only requires a wedge to get the job done. And I can't stress enough, I really can't stress enough, do not go long. It's near impossible to get back on the dance floor. The green is tricky, especially with the ocean breeze. There are 6 bunkers surrounding the putting surface and usually a howling cross breeze coming off the ocean. Appreciate its beauty, but don't let it bite you. Hole 16 is a very short uphill par 4, and it's the second hardest hole on the course. It has the smallest fairway on the course, and if you miss that, there's a high chance you won't be finding your ball. It is dramatically uphill to a small, elevated green surrounded by a large runoff area ready to swallow your ball. Again, another great view to appreciate before you head off to your final 2 holes. Hole 17 is a short par 5. That if you play it correctly, it can be a great scoring opportunity. But if you happen to stray away from the fairway, you're in danger of dropping another ball. The green is tucked away on the left-hand side, and it is quite long. This class is the easiest hole on the course, but as you can see, I struggled to take advantage of it. Hole 18, the final hole. Heading uphill, back towards the clubhouse, it is a great finishing hole. This is pretty straightforward. There are some strategic bunkers on the left-hand side, there are a few trees out to the right, plenty of bunkers as you get close to the hole, and a very tricky green complex. If all that isn't enough to make you nervous, you'll have the eyes of all the patrons in the restaurant watching you closely as you try to finish your round on a high. Once your ball drops in the cup, take a look back down the hole, appreciate the views. You'll never forget this round, it's truly special. I love playing Natadola Bay, and I can't wait to head back to Fiji and play it again. Thank you for watching. Vinaka.